following program is presented by the Jericho Network in association with Podcast One.
There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. It's a brand new week and you're tuned in to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. That guy over there at the Supernatural News Desk, the one and only Mr. Timothy Dennis.
What did I do?
Nothing. That's just your full name. I feel you should get the honor of being, I didn't give you the full Timothy David Dennis.
Hey, whoa.
What?
Don't ever use that.
Why?
Well, first of all, now people are going to look up my name. And
that's easy to find anyway. I've called you that on the air numerous times over the years.
Now I'm going to be a victim of fraud, I'm sure, because I have that kind of luck.
Tim, I've seen your credit score. You and I never have to worry about anybody trying to fraud or steal our numbers, man.
Well,
the only thing they could do is build our credit line for us.
I used to have like a credit score of 1,000, 1,500.
No, you did not.
I did, and then
you turned 12.
Yeah, and then a bunch of people just learned my information.
Not the case. Hey, we got a big week coming up. Supernatural News Parashare today, of course. Tomorrow, Tuesday, Ronald Murphy Jr. talks about vampires. We'll talk about the Lords of the Night and their really interesting kind of history and some of the fables behind them. So we'll talk about that on Tuesday. True Crime Tuesday, Tim, is tomorrow as well. Jesse Quackenbush, our guest. And we're going to talk about the last word, the curse. This is unbelievable. A clash between good and evil strikes up on the high plains of Texas when Johnny Frank Garrett, a 17-year-old mentally retarded boy, is arrested, convicted, and ultimately executed for the Halloween night rape, mutilation, and murder of a nun. Garrett claimed his innocence from the time of his arrest until his dying breath. 16 years after Garrett's execution, new evidence rose up from the cold case grave of the Amarillo Police Department, proving once and for all they executed the wrong man. And if that's not a big enough twist, Tim, there's a curse involved in this case.
Really? Because
Garrett did not go out easy. As a matter of fact, he professed his innocence all the way out. And when he did so, he did it in a voice driven by nothing short of hate and vengeance. Uh-oh. And in his chilling conclusion, Garrett promised those responsible for his murder that someday they would have the last word, that he would have the last word, and they would pay for what they had done. And you've got to hear about this curse.
Yikes.
Whether you believe in curses or not, this one's pretty chilling. That's on True Crime Tuesday, and there'll be a snippet of that at the end of tomorrow's show. Wednesday, Betsy Lewis joins us. We'll talk about ancient serpent gods, the alien connection to reptilian dinosaurs. On Thursday, Tim, this is going to be a controversial episode.
Okay.
But as we said, we're open to different concepts and beliefs. This one, Lucifer, Origins and Revelations. Our guest, Priscilla Vogelbacher, believes she can shine a light on a different side and a different history to Lucifer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it's going to be controversial. But I'm fascinated because I've heard different theories along these lines, and I need to know more. I need to understand about this story.
There are seriously some people that believe that we've got it all wrong when it comes to Lucifer. I'm not one of those people, but
we'll find out. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about that on Thursday. Friday, Scott Marlowe, Cryptid Creatures of Florida. We'll talk about all of the freaky beasts that are stalking Florida, Tim. And I'm not talking about Florida man and woman.
No.
I'm not talking about New Yorkers, their sunburden for the winter months.
Snowbirds.
Yeah, sunbird, snowbird. It's all the same deal. I'm not talking about them, Tim. We're going to talk about creepy cryptids, and we'll do that on Friday's show. And before we get started with supernatural news and Parashare, I want to make sure that we give credit where credit is due on our show, Tim.
All right.
Aside from the work that you and I do on a daily basis for the show, there's a lot of people working behind the scenes that help us. Amy Rouse, who is our program booker, she goes out and finds many of the guests that you hear on the show. She's the one that will take the leads that we send her from you, the listeners, and she's the one that'll take the leads we give her when we want guests, and she tracks them down and gets them on the show for us. Without that hard work behind the scenes, this job would be a lot harder. So we want to thank Amy Rouse, Sonia Six, who runs our website and keeps it up to date with all the information and links there. Again, she's been beneficial behind the scenes on this for many years and helps us run quite a few of the Darkness events. And then, of course, big thanks out to Cassie Plummer, not only my love, but she is also our social media guru and helps post and keep everything going live about the show and letting you know what's going on, where you can tune in, how you can tune in, and all of that. Without all of the work going on behind the scenes, we wouldn't be the show we are. So we do want to make sure that we stop from time to time to thank all of the people behind the great show that you guys get to listen to Monday through Friday. All right, Tim, where shall we begin in the world of supernatural news?
Well, Dave, we're headed down to the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, great. I'm dressed for it. Do you like my new outfit? I'm wearing what they call a romper, Tim. It's it's a one-piece shorts and button-down shirt all together.
Oh, boy.
And I've got some black socks and sandals, and I feel I'm ready for Bermuda triangling.
You know, when it's a guy wearing it, they call it a romp him.
Doesn't that sound like a sexual maneuver, Bermuda triangling?
It does.
All right.
Like a dirty, dirty sexual maneuver.
Yes.
4 people are missing after a small plane has disappeared over the Bermuda Triangle. It's not a great vacation spot, Dave. Debris and plane parts have been recovered.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Rescue crews have searched more than 8,200 square miles in the over 30-hour search for 2 adults and 2 young children who have been missing since their small plane mysteriously disappeared from radar while flying over the infamous Bermuda Triangle on Monday, according to the U.S. Coast Guard. The Coast Guard said it recovered debris and parts of a MU-2B aircraft, the plane type the group was traveling in, 15 miles east of the Bahamas during the search. On board the flight was 40-year-old Jennifer Blumen of New York and her 2 sons, ages 3 and 4, as well as 52-year-old Nathan Ulrich of New Hampshire. Blumen is the CEO of a prominent New York City event planning firm, Skylight Group. The plane was scheduled to fly from Puerto Rico to Central Florida, but never arrived at its destination, according to the Coast Guard.
Yikes.
Miami Air Traffic Control reported that it lost radar and radio contact with the airplane just 3 hours into the flight. The Coast Guard added that into their statement. They also said there's no indication of significant adverse weather at the time. That, according to Lieutenant Commander Ryan Kelly, a Coast Guard spokesman.
Wow.
National Transportation Safety Board says it is investigating the incident.
That is, I have no interest in the Bermuda Triangle now, Tim.
No?
Every time you just start to think there's something too fantastical about it, another vehicle goes missing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And, we should take this time to mention real quick, the Darkness Radio archives are available on YouTube.
Yes, they are.
And that one, that the fog, that the Bermuda Triangle episode was up recently with
Bruce Gernon.
Yes, and
the other guy. I can't think of his name offhand. We just had him on the show not too long ago, too.
Was it Rick?
No. But anyway,
yes.
If you want to find that, we're making it available. You can go to darknessradio.com. And we'll have a Darchives tab so you can find it. And then you click there. It'll take you in and bring you right to the page so you can find all of our past episodes that we're placing up. And we're going deep, deep, deep into the old Bermuda Triangle of Tim's soul to find classic episodes. And they're releasing 3 new episodes every week. That's the only place to find the original Darkness Radio archives, the Darchives as we like to call them.
That's right.
And you'll be able to find those. So go check out darknessradio.com and follow the Darchives tab to get to all those great episodes.
There you go. 3 new ones each week. So you've got plenty to listen to.
Right. So you get 5 episodes here. You get 3 episodes of the classic show on YouTube.
Yep.
And that's the only legal place you can find our classic episodes.
That's right.
Is through our link at darknessradio.com. And then we give you True Crime Tuesday every Tuesday. So, boy, that's a lot of programming.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of programming.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, what's your next news story for us?
Well, we'll still talk about airplanes, Dave. They're in the news this week. This one is a story involving recent Guardians of the Galaxy 2 actor, Kurt Russell. It turns out he was the civil pilot witness to the Phoenix Lights.
What?
Yeah, he was on a talk show recently and revealed that he was the civil pilot witness to the Phoenix Lights. Let's go to that audio right now.
Okay.
May be able to help me, and this may feature, who knows? Because this is an international story. Because of you both being here, I looked into the international files, not covered by our Ministry of Defense, but maybe covered by yours. This took place in Arizona. An unidentified pilot, according to the press cuttings, flying near an airport in Arizona with his son when he spotted 6 lights in the night sky. So he called from the aeroplane to air traffic control to say, I'm seeing these lights here. I wasn't expecting any other planes. They're none supposed to be on my landing path. Can you tell me what's going on? They said there are no other planes. He said, I'm seeing 6 bright lights coming towards me. Mystery unresolved.
Except tail number for that plane was Bonanza 2 Tango Sierra, and I was the pilot. No way. Oliver and I.
Yes, take us back. Doesn't say that in the briefing.
Oliver and I.
I should have read to the end.
Oliver and I were flying in. I was flying him to go see his girlfriend, and we were on approach, and I saw 6 lights over the airport in absolute uniform in a V shape, and Oliver said to me, I was just looking at him, and I was coming in. We're maybe a half a mile out, and Oliver said, "Pa, what are those lights?" And I then it kind of like came out of my reverie, and I said, "I don't know what they are." I said, he said, "Are we okay here?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna call him," and I reported it. And they said, "We're not painting anything. We don't show anything." I said, "Well, okay, I'm going to declare it's unidentified, it's flying, and it's 6 objects." We landed. I taxied, dropped him off, took off, went back to L.A. Never said a word. He never said a word. I never thought of it. 2 years later, Goldie is watching a television show when I came home.
Yeah.
And the show is on UFOs. But as I came home, "Hey, honey, how's it going?" And I'm kind of hearing the TV going, and I stopped and I started watching, and it was on that event. Now, that was the most viewed UFO event. Over 20,000 people saw that. And I'm watching this, and I'm feeling like Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's like, why do I know this? You know, what? And it's not clear to me. And finally, I said. Then they said the pilot reported it. A general aviation pilot reported it on landing. I'd never thought of it since then, and I said, "That was me. That was me." And I said, "Wait a minute. I'll go to my logbooks." So I went to my logbooks, and there was the flight at that time, and I didn't mention anything about the UFO. The fascinating part of that to me is that it just went literally out of my head. And Oliver never mentioned it. And had I not seen that show, I'd have never thought of it again.
Amazing.
Now, that, to me, was the weird part.
Believe it now, Chris? Yes.
Yes.
I'm convinced.
It's just unidentified. It's flying, and it's
an object.
It's an object.
Yeah.
Right.
Moving towards you at this.
We need to move on.
Thank you, Joe.
So that's Kurt Russell, part of that history. And it is intriguing that he said the weird part is it just left my mind. I wonder if he and Oliver, who have never spoken about it again since, I wonder if there was any missing time. I wonder if they might have been part of an abduction.
Maybe.
But how cool that was. They were the pilots. Kurt Russell was the pilot of the plane that radioed it in.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
All right, where are we going next?
Well, Dave, you've talked about it on many a show. And now there may actually be evidence of a parallel universe.
I knew it. Where McRibs are good for us and made of delicious ribs.
I can only hope.
Yeah.
There's a cold spot in space, dear Liza, and it suggests that there are alternate worlds with their own versions of reality. It's not a dream, kids. It's just not a dream. In the desolate darkness of space, it is difficult to imagine we are anything but alone in the cosmos. But imagine for a moment that we are not alone, but in fact, one of an infinite number of parallel universes that contain infinite versions of ourselves. Oh, God, there's more than one of me?
Okay, I'm imagining. Go on.
I hope I have hair and I'm thinner. And,
No.
And
I've seen all the different variations of us.
better looking,
We're always fat and bald.
richer, and
No.
surrounded.
So what's
by
going on with this?
good-looking
What did they find scientifically?
Well, it says here in one universe you might be president of the United States. Well, in another you could be made of gelatin. Oh, made of gelatin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Delicious. There's always room for Jell-O Tim.
Watch me wiggle, see me jiggle. Cool and fruity.
Yes, you are.
This is a theory of the multiverse.
Jell-O brand gelatin. Got to get it out, man. It's OCD.
Yeah, see. And a new study has found that a mysterious cold spot in space could prove our universe is merely one of an everlasting string of realities. For years, scientists have been stumped by the cold spot, they're calling it. I used to always think it was just my ex, but no. It measures around 1.8 billion light years across. Measurements of the universe's background radiation found this spot is colder than its surroundings by around 0.00015 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
If you're measuring in Fahrenheit, that's 0.00027 degrees Fahrenheit. We're all measuring, by the way. We're all measuring. Researchers had previously suggested that the spot was cooler simply because it contained as many as 10,000 galaxies less than other comparable regions of space. But a new study has shown that this massive supervoid, also the nickname for my ex, could not possibly exist, meaning the cold spot cannot be explained by any missing matter. This opens the origin of the cold spot to more peculiar explanations, with one being that it is proof of the multiverse. So now all those episodes of The Flash make sense.
Yes.
We can't entirely rule out that the spot is caused by an unlikely fluctuation explained by the standard model of particle physics, said study co-author Professor Tom Shanks, who's great at golf, by the way, an astronomer at Durham University. But if that isn't the answer, then there are more exotic explanations, he went on to say. Perhaps the most exciting of these is that the cold spot was caused by a collision between our universe and another bubble universe. If furthermore detailed...
better get Mako.
I know, right? That's going to cost us on our deductible.
Yeah.
If furthermore detailed analysis proves this to be the case, then the cold spot might be taken as the first evidence for the multiverse. If true, the cold spot could reveal that our cosmos contains an infinite number of parallel universes containing an infinite number of realities.
Cool.
You want to pass it to the left, Dave, as I explain this next part.
The chip on the left hand side.
These uncountable realms sit side by side in higher dimensions that our senses are incapable of perceiving directly, astronomy expert Dr. Stuart Clark wrote in The Guardian. Each alternate universe carries its own different version of reality. There will be one where you wrote this column and I read it, even a really weird one in which Donald Trump uses Twitter to spread nothing but amusing cat videos. I want to live in that one. The cold spot was produced when the universe formed more than 13 billion years ago.
13 billion.
13 billion years ago. It was first spotted by NASA WMAP satellite in 2004, a sighting that was later confirmed by the ESA's Planck mission in 2013. Rather than the cold spot existing as a single massive supervoid, the new study suggests galaxies in the spot cluster around smaller voids that spread over the region like bubbles. Oh, bubbles. I love me some bubbles. But these clusters of galaxies cannot explain the cold spot's lower temperature. In order to prove that the clusters are responsible for the anomalous cold spot, the researchers say a non-standard cosmological model is needed. Do we have a spare cosmological model sitting around by chance?
I do not, personally.
All right. But our data place powerful constraints on any attempt to do that, said study lead author Rory McKenzie. The study's simulations show that there is only a 2% chance that the cold spot formed randomly, meaning, multiverse or not, there is plenty more research to be done on the mysterious region.
That's pretty cool, actually. That's fascinating information, Tim.
There could be some multiverses going on.
God, that'd be awesome.
I wonder if I can switch universes.
If it could just be the 80s multi-universe always. Ooh. I know I shouldn't be living in the past, but it was just such a kick-ass period.
For you it was. I love the 80s. I don't know that I'd go back.
Oh, my God. Yeah. What period did you like?
See, if I got to go backwards in time?
Well, obviously, because you haven't been to the future.
I go to the 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
When you were a drooling idiot 7-year-old?
Well, 7, 8, 9 years old. Those are good years.
Oof.
Yeah.
No.
I would go back to that.
I like the little elf boots and multi-layered mini skirts and big hair era. That's if I was 7 or 8, I couldn't have enjoyed them as much, Tim. Okay. All right. Where are we moving on to next? Well, I fantasize about 80s women.
I guess. Look at you. You're drooling over there.
Shut up.
Let's move on to the world of ghosties and psychics, shall we?
Yes.
Can you spot the angel child? A self-taught medium claims
Not
her.
in my house, I can't.
Well, no, I mean, it's pretty tough.
Bunch of evildoers.
I walk in there with holy water and a rosary and barely get out alive. Yeah. A self-taught medium claims her amazing video captures the spirit of her son from a former life drift past her TV. Now, let me ask you this: have you ever run into your children from a past life? And if so.
God. I hope not, because I can barely afford the children from this life.
I was going to say, the mothers aren't around, are they?
Yeah. Jeez, that may be what's going on in my life. I'm dealing with a lot of karmic justice.
It might be. A mother of 3 has filmed what she believes to be a ghost of her 4th son from a past life walking past her television.
And I can't even keep track of the kids from this life. How the hell does she know it's her 4th son from a past life?
I have no idea. 45-year-old Mandy Bainham, a self-taught medium, says she felt the beautiful presence of her 4th child's angel. She believes the little boy Danny was a product of a frowned-upon love affair she had in a former life. Mandy of Wensfield, West Midlands, said, I've always been a spiritual person, but I had never really explored my passion until about 10 months back when I started to sense this angel's lovely, warm presence around me. I started taking lots of photos and videos, and I could see this beautiful spirit. It was amazing. I could tell right away it was a little boy and that he was always with me, so I went to get a reading. Mandy said the medium told her it was her son from her past life, leading her to having visions like flashbacks. I don't know why my voice is breaking up.
I don't know, Peter Brady, but when it's time to change, it's time to rearrange
such a
who you are into what you want to do. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
I think it's because I'm stretching my neck to read this.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
I can't lower this damn monitor anymore.
No.
She said the boy...
First world problems.
Yeah, she said the boy is called Danny and is the product of a forbidden relationship she had in a past life with a Jamaican man called Stephen in Morocco, Newton County in America in the 1920s. Time out.
Good God, you got to give up smoking or start it or something.
Jamaican man.
Yeah.
Stephen, Morocco, Newton County, America. All different places.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't that seem kind of unlikely to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. She said we used to sneak around and meet up in the barn, and I fell pregnant, but that'll happen in the barn, you know. Yeah, if your drawers drop, chances are you're...
hay, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're getting some there in the barn. But when my parents found out, they sent my love away, and when the baby was born, they put him up for adoption. Danny was sent to live with another family, but then one day he was out playing with a ball, and he chased it into the road and got hit by a lorry and died. Ever since then, Danny's soul has been searching for mine. It took a while, but he's finally found me, and now we're always together. It's so beautiful, that bond between a mom and her son. In one of my videos of Danny's angel, you can see a gold spark before he runs past the TV. Brace yourself, Dave. That orb of an archangel watching over him.
Archangel.
It's an orb. In one video, there's a small gold spark before a ghostly figure appears and walks in front of the television screen, while other footage shows a white spirit manifest and appear to pass by the camera, forming the shape of a head and shoulders.
Knees and toes?
Not the shampoo bottle, but actual head and shoulders. Mandy initially kept the videos to herself, but she is sharing them in the hope more people will be open to the existence of the paranormal. She claims she hears Danny's mischievous spirit jumping on the bed. No more jumping on the bed!
That's right.
Or switching the kettle off when she makes a cup of tea. Because he's safety-oriented, Dave.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
He's watching out for her back.
Yeah. Because he once got hit by a car. He doesn't want her burning down the house.
Raining down as cold as ice. Come on, Tim. A shadow of a man, a face through a window, crying in the night. The night goes into morning. I'm singing Mandy by Barely Man Enough. Barry Manilow.
I see that.
Yeah.
After learning of Danny's presence in her life, Mandy is learning how to develop her natural abilities.
Abilities? I like somebody with natural abilities.
I'm shook by your rendition of Mandy.
Oh, Mandy.
Oh, no.
Well, you came and you gave without taking, but I sent you away. Oh, Mandy. See, the 90s grunge music still lives in my vocal cords, Tim.
Aren't we in enough debt? Why did you have to go and sing Mandy? You now owe BMI and ASCAP like...
Pardon me? Barry Manilow's ass what?
ASCAP.
Oh. Okay.
You now owe them $3,000.
I thought BM was Barry Manilow you were trying to tell me.
No.
And I owe Barry Manilow's ass something. I'm like, I think that's
you
already been
owe him
capped.
a lot of money now.
It's been capped. I don't
Way
think
to
I can
go.
actually be sued because I don't think there's any proof what I just sang actually sounds anything like, oh, Mandy.
No, it does. It really does. Mandy is learning how to develop her natural abilities, offering tarot and photograph readings online. Oh, joy!
I'm standing on the edge of time. Walked away when love was mine. Keep going, I'm with you.
And is planning to set up
she's
her
kind of a
own
looker.
business. Well, from there she is.
Timothy.
You're quite a ways away.
Jerk.
She's kind of haggard. I'm not going to lie.
Stop it. God, you're a jerk.
Being close to Danny's angel, that's why she's got an angel
Shut
following her
up
around.
and just read the story. Stop putting her down.
That's some real man. Being close to Danny's angel and exploring her spirituality has brought Mandy from a dark place to one where she is surrounded by love. By an imaginary spirit. Mandy said, I've always been very spiritual. Throughout my life, I've had an extra sense about how people are feeling, and I could always sense spirits, but I never developed it. Before finding out about Danny in my past life, I was in a very dark place because that's the only way guys would approach her. And when I heard what happened to him, at first it was really upsetting. But now I have turned it around and focus on the positive. The fact he has found me is a blessing. It's a miracle. It's a miracle, folks.
A true blue spectacle, a miracle come true. That's another Barry Manilow, isn't it?
See, you say you go back to the 80s, but you just hit me with two 70s songs.
I can't help it that I like good music from every genre and every age.
That's what you're calling it?
Yep.
And now he's always with me, Dave, and I'm surrounded by love and beauty. She went on to say, it encouraged me to start really exploring my passion, and in doing that, I have found out a lot about myself, and I've started to blossom.
Why are you being condescending to this woman?
I'm not.
She's had an experience, so she thinks she's in contact with the fourth child from a previous life's incarnation. That's her story to tell.
It's great. It's wonderful. I just wish that more people were open-minded about it because so many people must be surrounded by angels from their past lives. Do you see them all around me right now, Dave?
Wow.
All the angels around me?
Could be because you're a cynical dick.
Past life?
That could be it. I don't know.
But they're too oblivious or skeptical to ever realize, Dave.
Yeah, I think she's talking about you right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're just right around me right now.
Good God.
Hey, take a look at that. There's my kid from my 8th past life.
Jeepers creepers.
He got taken out by the Grim Reaper.
Do you need a hug over there, pal? You seem a little gruff today.
No,
a little rough around the edges.
Good.
Need to be rubbed down with some baby Earl?
The Grim Reaper took his head off with his scythe. Just
good God.
Farming
All right,
accident.
What's your next story for us? Let's get back into supernatural news. Wow, and another audio daily double?
Well, no, I was going to go with this. Alvin mom finds a guardian angel in her son's photo.
Oh, so you can mock another woman who's feeling comfort in what she's experiencing?
Sure,
wow,
why
great.
not?
Ladies, you can just email Tim directly at condescendingprick@darknessradio.com.
All right, I'll be more serious about this. Kidding. No, I'm kidding. An Alvin photographer was going through photos that her son had taken, and to her surprise, she found something special.
Okay.
Carrie Lyles is an Alvin mother to 7 children, 5 from birth and 2 stepchildren. So she has a kind heart, Dave. And real children. as opposed to the last one. Her youngest is Asher. Asher is 7 years old and was born with Down syndrome. Asher's parents named the special boy with an extra A to reflect his extra chromosome that Carrie told Cron.com, spelled with a CH, as in chromosome, I guess, that he was blessed with. His name reflects his awesomeness with 2 A's. You know when you get that, or you know when you get an A on a paper and how great that is. But when you get an A plus, that's really, really good.
It is. There's too much explanation for the name. Let's just get to the point. So what happened?
Wow, how unfeeling.
Yeah, well, I just don't need a 15-minute explanation of why they named him with 2 A's.
Wow.
Just saying. Wow. I get the point. It's great. Special kid, special name.
Wow.
So what was the story? What's the paranormal angle of this?
Wow. Poor Asher. I feel for you, Asher. I'm there for you.
Oh, God, just get to the story.
Asher. I love you, Asher.
Lord, if you're listening, just make him get to the story.
Anyways, Carrie said she really felt like they won the lottery with Asher, but Dave doesn't feel the same way. Anyways.
That's not true.
Dave went on to say, Carrie, blow it out your blow.
No, I didn't.
When it comes to Asher. No, it's okay. Carrie posted on her personal Facebook page Monday that on Sunday her family was returning to Houston from Washington, and Asher, who has recently become obsessed with taking pictures, pulled out her cell phone to capture moments in the sky. Because, there's contrails and chemtrails and stuff. He wanted to take some pictures out the window after I had reached across him to take one myself, Carrie wrote on her Facebook page. After he took a few dozen, I took the phone back and later went through the images to delete since my storage was getting low. As Carrie was deleting photos, she came across one that was a pretty incredible image, whatever it may be. We've known for a long time that Asher has a sixth sense about others' needs, whether it be a hug or a smile. He just seems to gravitate to strangers in need, Carrie said. He will let us know when he sees something by pointing and flapping his arms like wings. So we've known that he can see angels that surround him. The image that Asher captured might have been the image that he needed and the image we might all need, she went on to say. I do believe that he captured his angel out the window that day to bring him comfort and a rather bumpy takeoff, Carrie went on to say. And then captured the little image that you all can't see because it's radio. And
Google it. It's a pretty intriguing picture. I mean, it's almost too good to be true.
It's a picture of it looks like a guy with his hands up, like he's being held up by a gun.
No, I think he's. You go to the darkest places.
No, he does. He's got his hands up.
I think he's just got his arms up. He's like waving, hey, up in that airplane.
Doing the hands up, don't shoot.
It's pretty neat. It's a cool looking picture. It's a cool looking picture.
Cool picture.
All right.
Don't worry, Angel. We won't shoot.
Was there anything more to that story?
No, that was it.
All right. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. We've got more supernatural news to share. We've got Parish Share coming your way. Your stories told here on the best in paranormal talk radio.
Beyond the darkness.
We're back here on the Barry Manilow Appreciation Hour.
Oh, God.
I'm your host, Dave Schrader, along with me, my own Mandy himself, Tim Dennis, in our own version of Copacabana. The hell where one of us will end up dead someday and the other will be caught wearing a dress and feathers in our hair.
I just want to point out the people celebrating Barry Manilow Appreciation Week or whatever this is, or day or whatever it is right now, include you and a bunch of people too old to get around a casino without help.
Fanalos.
Fanalos.
Yes.
Too old to get around the casino without help.
That's all right. That's all right. You got to appreciate good music where it comes from, Tim. It's beautiful music there. Here's a bit of irony. I think he won a Grammy for the song I Write the Songs, which he did not write the song.
He didn't.
No.
He's a hypocrite.
One of the Wilson brothers from the Beach Boys wrote that song. And that was their only Grammy-winning song, and it was sung by someone else. And that's part of Manilow Appreciation Day here on Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Davey Kasem. Now back to Tim with Supernatural News. All right, where are we going next, Tim?
Manilow Appreciation Day.
If only we could play music.
What
I miss that we can't play music. I got to be honest with you.
A lot of people
why can't you play music anymore? Because we can't afford the ASCAP or BMI license.
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to deal with me breaking out into song from time to time.
Think about the acronym for 1 second of Manilow Appreciation Day. What does that spell? Exactly. Yeah. This whole
I'm mad about Manilow.
No.
I'm a Madalow.
Oh, God.
And Muttley the dog is apparently in studio.
We go to Colombia, the only place where you could deal with Manilow music with plenty of cocaine.
Ooh. Doon, 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 doon. Not a song covered by Manilow.
No, although I'd like to hear it if it is. Is this the ghost of a boy leaping from raging floods in Colombia?
I don't know.
Eerie footage after 94 people are killed. Ooh. The footage appears to show a boy coming out of the water and onto a brick wall from nowhere. I don't think it's like that.
Could be.
Yeah. The eerie footage from a flood-ravaged city appears to show the ghost of a boy leaping to safety from the raging waters. The video was recorded in the city of Barranquilla in the northern Colombian department of Atlántico. Department, really? Huh. It's not even a city, it's a department.
It's the department of Atlántico.
Atlántico. It shows a badly flooded street with a row of shops turned into a riverbank by the fast-flowing water. The unnamed person who shot the film pans slowly to the right, and in the distance, a strange sight appears. The figure of a boy seems to leap from the middle of the foaming water up onto a brick wall. Like he's supernaturally strong.
Supernatural.
The video zooms in and slows down the last few seconds so viewers can catch it. In a city where 94 people have been killed by the heavy floods, the video touched a nerve with traumatized residents. Some commenting on the video watched more than 500,000 times. Not that the people watched it more than but the video altogether has been watched more than 500,000 times. Believe the apparition might be the spirit of a child who died in the river. Yomera,
take me to the river.
Dunk you in the water?
Dunk me in the water.
I see. Yomaira N. Ospino wrote, a lot of people died in the river. Amen for all of those lost souls.
Yeah, amen.
Miguel Cano Campos.
Bless you.
Thank you. Added, ha ha ha, you can see perfectly how he is passing. I don't know why he wrote that.
Weird response, yeah.
Norma Judith Rambao Polo said, I saw him. He is seen getting out of the river.
Yes, he is.
Others are more skeptical, though, claiming the ghost is actually a reflection on the glass or a drop of water on the camera. And that is the rest of the story.
What a disappointment. Much like my sex life.
What?
Yeah, well, lots of promise, and then it peters out at the end.
Was that the boy's name, Peter?
What?
Huh?
Stop it. All right, go on. What have you got next?
We go to West Lafayette.
Yes.
Where police are baffled by Jackson Brown death threat flyers.
Yes. This is the conspiracy theory I've been waiting my whole life for, Tim.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Is this whole theory running on empty? That's what we want to know.
I don't know.
That was my own pun there. West Lafayette police on Monday were trying to figure out why flyers talking about taking out singer-songwriter Jackson Brown, and by extension, college liberals who didn't agree with President Donald Trump, wound up this weekend tied to storm doors and bundled on driveways of a near Purdue University neighborhood. Isn't this like 30 years too late? Police had several reports and picked up at least 50 flyers that called for Brown to get it. Bam! Right between the eyes. That's the quote.
Wow.
The flyers were rolled up with 2 or 3 sheets, and in some cases with a nail, and delivered in a portion of the New Chauncey neighborhood.
Wow.
A few blocks east of Purdue's Mackey Arena. The unsigned, uncredited flyers include the warning.
Yes.
Do I say the word or do I edit it out?
Edit it out. Beep yourself.
Hey, you blank college liberals, it's Trump time now. Shut your mouth or pay the consequences, just like this piece of crap.
Wow.
Talking about Jackson Brown.
A lot of anger towards Jackson Brown.
I had to look up Mr. Brown's tour schedule to see whether he was coming to Purdue or something, and I just missed it, said Captain David Van Vactor of the West Lafayette Police Department, who clearly was disappointed that he had missed Jackson Brown's performance.
Who isn't?
It's pretty random and it's pretty strange. I'm not sure where this will lead, but we're looking into it, he said.
Huh.
Charlie Tritchler received one of his Meridian Street driveway on Saturday, or received one of them in his driveway.
Okay.
He said, I would consider it a rant rather than a threat to our safety.
Jackson Brown.
The only one being threatened is Jackson Brown, isn't it?
And our ears.
We didn't allow this too much to affect our lives, but why? It took quite a bit of effort, I'd say.
Right.
Tritchler went on to say.
Right.
Tritchler did share a copy with West Lafayette Mayor John Dennis, no relation to yours truly, when he went to the Morton Community Center for an exercise class and called the police as neighbors compared notes. The flyers were similar to ones that surfaced in April ahead of a Windsor, Ontario performance by the singer of hits Running on Empty and Doctor My Eyes at Caesars Palace Auditorium, according to a CBC News report. In that case, the flyers showed an 80s-era photo of Brown calling on Canadians to exercise U.S. Second Amendment rights and shoot a socialist.
Wow.
That's in quotes.
Oof. Seems a bit overboard.
A little bit. It concluded, we're gonna shut this
puppy down?
effer's mouth permanently.
Wow. Jeez.
According to CBC News, the show went on. Though security was increased. Doesn't take much to guard Jackson Brown, evidently.
No.
Brown's publicist with Jensen Communications was not immediately available Monday for comment. The West Lafayette Flyers feature the same photo of Brown calling him the head of the snake
God.
of a socialist plot, conspiring to give away our great Christian nation to, this is the quote, don't come back at me for this,
Okay.
gays, criminals, and terrorists. Brown has been outspoken through the decades on a number of environmental and social causes. As on the Canadian version, it calls to take out Brown. A second sheet calls out college liberals with vague threats.
Man, Jackson Brown.
I had no idea.
It's going down, son. Going down.
I briefly feared that the perpetrator targeted houses with yard signs welcoming immigrant neighbors, but I later saw them at every house along Meridian and many on North Chauncey Avenue, suggesting an arbitrary process, said Ted Fondak, who received one of the flyers. I'm just baffled by the content. Its audience seemed to be white nationalists, a call to arms, but delivered to houses on liberal blocks of West Lafayette. Weird, he went on to say. The flyers follow a semester when students from the Purdue Social Justice Coalition occupied, I believe this is Hovde Hall, Purdue's main administrative building for 3 months over the degree to which President Mitch Daniels denounced flyers posted in November by a white nationalist group. Van Vactor said police had no suspects, there's a shock, and weren't sure about the motivation to deliver them. It's not clear why something would pop up like this, Van Vactor said. It is a bit weird.
Yeah. I just had to pass that story on to you because talking about 70s music, 80s music.
Of all the people to go after.
I know, right? Jackson Brown?
Jackson Brown.
Goofy.
I mean, who's next? Van Morrison?
I hope not. You got another story over there for us?
I do. I do. I'm just shocked. I need to get myself together here. Let's get back to ghosty stuff, shall we? A dash cam has captured the moment a driver and his passenger spotted a ghost sitting in the middle of the road.
Wow.
In an area famous for its spooky sightings. As the car rounds the bend, a figure can be seen up ahead in the center of the road in a cross-legged lotus position. And both men in the car start to sound a bit panicky. The driver immediately stops the vehicle and says, "Is that Jackson Brown?"
I don't think that's what he said, Tim.
He says, "Okay, that's a bit scary." Then his passenger, who also sounds uneasy, says, "Yeah," and adds, "That is very scary." Without hesitating, the driver then puts the car into reverse to get away from what they think is then a ghost.
So have you watched the video? What do you think? Do you see what they see? Well, let's
see here. Let's fire this bad boy up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Should we fire it up for everybody?
But please.
All right, let's fire it up. Here we go.
This could go horribly wrong.
Play by play. Let's see. Here's the video, and they're driving along, and they're driving and driving and driving, and there's something in the road, and they stop, and there's no sound to this video, evidently. And they back up. And that's pretty mundane. Yeah.
Do you see it in the road?
I do see something in the road.
Does it look like a spirit sitting cross-legged?
It just looked like something sitting in the middle of the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But hey, I'm with them.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the picture. The picture of it.
The picture?
The picture of it.
All right, what's your next story?
I don't know why I went Barry Mack, Bernie Mac on it.
What?
I don't know.
Bernie Mackalow?
Bernie Mackalow, Dave. I've made a new black 70s singer comedian out of the deal.
Good, because we need one.
That's right, David. Pathway to heaven. Families are comforted by an extraordinary photo from a fatal crash site showing their loved ones leaving Earth.
This is a pretty cool picture, I got to be honest with you. I mean, it's a sad situation.
It is, yes. The families of 2 women and a baby killed in a car wreck say they are comforted by a strange photo taken at the scene of the crash. 23-year-old Hannah Simmons, her 9-month-old daughter, Alana, and friend Lauren Buteau, 28 years old from Gainesville, Georgia, were killed in a car crash on April 25th. Miss Simmons lost control of her Subaru Legacy and hit another vehicle. The crash caused a traffic jam, and driver Anissa Gannon found herself stranded as she drove to work. To prove to her boss that she was trapped, Ms. Gannon snapped a photo to her aunt, Tara Noble. The photo shows a ray of light beaming down on the crash scene.
That is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at it right now.
Beautiful.
That is, wow. That is bizarre. The photo shows a ray of light beaming down on the crash scene as 2 lighter patches appear to fly up out of the wreck. The families of the victims say the picture has given them hope. When Ms. Noble looked at the photo, she said she instantly saw the pathway to heaven. While many would attribute the light to a windshield glare or lens flare. That's one hell of a windshield glare.
No, that is not a windshield glare or lens flare.
No, Miss Noble said that was not the point. She added, I don't believe in coincidences, especially the 2 lights inside that bigger light. It brought the family's peace, whether it's a glare or not. That's no glare, I'll tell you that. It's indescribable. Basically, it does look like them leaving. Ms. Noble tracked down the victim, Hannah Simmons' mother, Judy, who said the photo was a gift. She said that picture was taken for a reason, to give me sanity. Hannah was also my best friend, and she's looking down from heaven now. She added that Ms. Simmons and Miss Buteau were best friends, just like their mothers, Judy and Dana. So there you go. Yeah, that's no lens.
No, that's a pretty amazing picture.
I mean, that thing's shooting straight out. To give you an idea, scale-wise, the vehicles take up about a third to a half of the photo, and then you have a tree line that goes about 2/3 of the way up the photo, and this ray of light goes all the way out the top of the picture.
Yeah.
So that's no lens flare.
And it's at an angle. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's
very cool. That would give me a moment of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a horrible situation like that.
Absolutely. Our final story in Supernatural News today is an audio daily double from the Stephen Colbert Show, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Okay.
And it has to do with Danny McBride. You know, Danny McBride has the he's writing and directing the new Halloween movie.
Is he really?
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
He's in the new Aliens movie.
Yeah, Alien Age of Ultron?
Yep.
Yeah, Alien Covenant.
Yes, Age of Ultron. And yeah, he's writing and directing the new Halloween movie. John Carpenter is executive producer.
Yeah, and I think I read somewhere that he said that Michael Myers will not have supernatural abilities in this one.
Yeah, it's a more down-to-earth Michael Myers,
more approachable serial killer.
More approachable.
Right, that's exciting.
So here Danny McBride talks to Stephen Colbert about a paranormal encounter that he has had. Let's go to that audio right now.
My first guest tonight from comedies like Eastbound and Down and Tropic Thunder, His new movie, Alien Covenant, is a little different. Please welcome Danny McBride. Now, you didn't break through until you were like 30 years old, right?
28. Come on,
I apologize. Yeah, Hollywood 28. And what were you doing before?
A plethora of things. I was a substitute teacher, a bartender, a cameraman.
You were a substitute teacher?
I was.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, back in Virginia.
How often did you just like put on Braveheart and go, this is history?
Every day. But then, when I got out to Los Angeles, I tried to up my game, and I actually got a job at the Holiday Inn in Burbank. As the night manager, I figured I could write scripts and stuff at nighttime while I was there.
Are we talking graveyard shift kind of?
Yeah, graveyard shift. Like when you come in at 11 o'clock at night. You're
the guy.
So it's late. So I was thinking, how much action can a hotel see that late at night? I'll write scripts all night long. Well, as soon as I got the job there, everyone was telling me how the top floor was haunted, that the Crystal View Lounge upstairs, there was a ghost up there. So then I just spent all my nights trying to summon the ghost. I would just I would just take the elevator to the top floor and just walk around the top floor where are you? Reveal yourself to me. Did it work? Well, at one point it did work, and it never worked. And then suddenly one night I was up there doing it, thinking, all right, there's no way that this is I'm not gonna see him. The ghost is a lie. And I was in there. I was kind of walking around, being kind of flippant about it, and all of a sudden, just like everyone tells you, the temperature dropped. It got super cold in there. And I felt there's definitely something in here right now. So I quickly turned, hauled ass back to the elevator, feeling like something's right behind me, get to the elevator. No one's on this floor except for me, because I'm an idiot. And it's all dark. And I'm hitting the elevator button. Finally, the elevator opens. I get inside the elevator. The elevator doors finally close. I'm just man, that was crazy. And then, bing, they just open back up to a dark corridor. And I'm just looking in there, terrified, hitting the button to close, and then on the way down, every single floor, the elevator stopped, and there was no one on any of them. And I quit soon after. I was my time pretending to be Jack Nicholson in The Shining is done. I'm not getting scripts written.
I gotta say, no offense to Holiday Inn, but that's a low-rent Shining.
You'd be surprised.
You've always been the night manager.
So there you go. Danny McBride has had a paranormal experience.
Very cool. Speaking of paranormal experiences, it's time to dig into the mail barrel, Tim. Let's go to a little Parashare. All right, our first one from Grace. Tim, are you ready for this?
Ready.
Hi, my name is Grace.
Hi, Grace.
My name is Grace. This is the first time I've ever written into a show, but I figured, why the hell not? I have a whole lifetime of insane, unbelievable, yet incredible experiences that are too bizarre and unexplained to keep to myself. And I promise you will not be disappointed. We should really hypen this up.
Wow.
Build up. It's a big build up, Tim.
Yeah, it is.
All right. We're wishing you luck, Grace.
Yep.
The thoughts of Tim and Dave are behind you.
Yeah.
For what we are about to report.
All right.
Shall we go?
Okay.
First off, I'll give a tiny piece of background. My family has always seemed to have a sixth sense, if you will. Growing up, I thought with all my heart that my mom was, a crazy-ass bitch, to be honest.
Wow.
She would go on these drunk rants about spirits always talking to her and needing her help to go into the light. And that one day I would have the gifts or the curse too. Right. Well, that's what I thought. Weird things always happened, mostly the famous shadow people, but if you ignored enough, you wouldn't be bothered, or at least that's what I thought. Okay. I was 10 years old when I realized there was no ignoring this anymore. My mother, stepfather, and my little sister all had bedrooms on the second floor of our townhouse. I, on the other hand, was the only one with a bedroom downstairs, but luckily I had my loyal and trusty pug for protection. Glenda the Good Witch, a.k.a. Puggums, would always sleep in bed with me. So you can fully understand how off-putting this was for me. My pug was always very calm, lazy, quiet, and always slept through the night soundly. Well, on this one particular night, I woke up to my pug growling and barking at the door. Absolutely frantic. In my half-sleep state, I tried to get her to calm down and go back to sleep, but she wouldn't stop. So aggravated enough and now fully awake, I sat up to see what she was going crazy about. I couldn't believe what I saw. It will forever stay imprinted in my mind. There, At the bottom of my bedroom door was a pale, naked, curled up on hands and knees, completely hairless man, if you could call it that. I couldn't process what I was looking at. It turned its head towards me as if it was the one who, as if I was the one who startled him, and as if my pug's growling and barking hadn't fazed him at all. His or its face was simply sad. There's no other way I can explain it. His eyes were sunken in and dark, expressionless. At first I thought, this must be a nightmare. But then I remembered I was already woken up by my pug barking and growling at this creature in the first place. My body went stiff as I could do nothing but stare in horror. It looked demonic and reminded me of maybe a fallen angel in a sense, but there's no possible way to explain what it was or what it was doing there on my floor or why it just stayed there all curled up. Am I the only one imagining like Smeagol from The Lord of the Rings? Oh, my precious. Isn't that the same little creepy, hairless, bent over on knuckles and knees creature?
Yeah. Ever since you said the word pug, it's been going through my mind. And maybe it's just been a long day. But
probably.
I think it's the whole Manilow thing today. The whole 70s fascination.
Sure.
I want to meet someone who's fascinated with the 70s, who owns a pug, who's decided to name their pug Leslie Puggums.
It's been a long day, folks. In my frozen state of paralyzing fear and astonishment, I decided to snap out of it and do what every child does for protection and cover myself under my blanket. Why I thought a blanket would protect me from that thing, or anything for that matter, I will never know where that brilliant idea came from, because, surprise, surprise, he wasn't gone when I peeked back out. But he had, however, gone back to whatever he was doing, hunched over in front of the door, before he had noticed me noticing him. Eventually, I grew exhausted from peeking out every so often when I would get the guts to see if he was still there. Unfortunately, each and every time, he was still there. All the while, my pug stayed intently at the edge of the bed as my watchdog, still very distraught over our visitor. But eventually, her barking calmed to a whine and a low growl, and I slowly fell back to sleep. The next morning, I woke up in the same position, burrowed under my blanket, also not like me to be fully under my blanket. I enjoy breathing, you see. The pug seemed calmer, but still uneasy. I tried brushing this whole incident off the rest of the day, telling myself it absolutely couldn't have been real and just a very vivid nightmare. That is, until I got home. Later that day, I took a deep breath before going into my room, walked in and scanned my room. It looked untouched, and I began to relax a little. Then I shut my door, and as I did, I noticed long, deep scratch marks along the door. I could have easily passed this off as my pug scratching to get out at some point, but I couldn't deny the fact that she would have had to crawl, exorcist style, all the way to the top of the door to make that possibly true. The stage of ignorance and scientific theory, goodbye. The stage of freakout, bless this room with holy water and sleep on my couch for a month. Hello! I never saw the creature again, but the window to the afterlife and unexplainable was permanently opened from this point on for me. I hope you enjoyed hearing this experience. I would love to know your thoughts, and if I've sparked your interest, I'd love to tell you more about the gift curse and how it eventually consumed my life. Thanks for all your time, and I hope I didn't write your eyeballs out, and that's Grace. Yeah, Grace, we'd love to hear more of your stories.
Mm-hmm.
Freaky stuff.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't know, you see this thing outside your door. I couldn't go to sleep. I don't know how people do that. I don't know how they go to sleep. It's got to be some kind of supernatural after effect of these beings, right? That they somehow hypnotize you, because how could you go to sleep seeing this right outside your bedroom door? And if your dog's going bonkers, where the hell are your parents? Because if my kids had a dog in their room and it was, I'd be in there. What the hell is wrong with this dog, right? And unless her parents were laying in the other room and they could see down the hall and see this thing hunched outside the door, and they're like, I don't love Grace enough to go. You go. No, let's just close our eyes and hope for another child.
And how do you own a pug and not name it Pugsley?
Or Leslie Puggums.
Or Leslie Puggums.
Leslie
Puggums.
Mm-hmm. All right, are you ready for another tale?
I'm ready.
It's a twisted tale, Tim.
Okay.
Hello, Dave and Tim. I'm currently enlisted in the Navy and have some experiences that I would like to share with you. But due to the nature of some of these stories, I would appreciate if you would not use my actual name.
Sure thing, Sean.
We will call her... Leslie Puggums.
Leslie Puggums.
There you go, Tim. Now your dream has come true. About me a little bit, I was raised in a house of ghostly believers. My mother was very into the supernatural. When I was a little boy, God, we'll go with Pugsley, I guess.
Oh, Pugsley.
I don't know why. For some reason, I jumped on the fact that this was going to be a woman. So I apologize, Pugsley. Let's start this again.
All right.
I'm currently enlisted in the Navy and have some experiences that I would like to share with you. But due to the nature of some of these stories, I would appreciate if you would not use my actual name. You got it, Pugsley.
Yes.
About me, a little bit. I was raised in a house of ghostly believers. My mother was very into the supernatural. When I was a little boy, I did have a little boy about 5 or 6 I would play with named Matthew. I would tell my mother about him while we were playing. We would play little games and such, nothing huge. Now, you said in a podcast a few weeks ago, or maybe it was a guest who said it, the ghosts of children would travel to homes with children their age to play. I believe that to be 100% true because I experienced it myself. I remember the last time I saw Matthew, I was being tucked in by my stepdad. At the time, I had bunk beds.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. We knew that was coming, right?
Yep.
Well, my stepdad was sitting on the bed talking to me when I was a purple orb, when I saw a purple orb floating up to the top bunk. I asked him if he saw anything, and he said no. Years later, and after my mother and him had split up, she told me a story from that night from his perspective. Apparently, he had come into the bedroom and told my mother about this and said he had seen it essentially soak into the mattress on the top. He told my mother that he didn't want to freak me out or something to that effect, but down to the color of Matthew's orb, she recalled that it was solidifying to me to hear that story because it was, some 15 or 20 years later. All right, so now on to the naval stories. I was stationed in Lakehurst, New Jersey. Now, when I tell someone that tell them that there's one of two reactions. The first one and most common is usually, "What? Where is that?" And the second reaction is, "That's where the Hindenburg went down, right?" Well, that is, in fact, correct. Lakehurst, New Jersey is where the Hindenburg went down. Well, the first several stories revolve around where it was stored in the infamous Hangar 1. I had just gotten to the command, and there was there for less than a week. I was in E3 staying in the barracks, and a lot of the guys were in the lounge watching television, wanting to make friends. I went in there to hang out and meet some new people. Well, the show Taps had just come on, and they did an investigation for their show several months before, and it was airing that night. So we all sat there and watched the show, and the chief who was on duty, a CDO, the command duty officer, said, "Y'all know I have the keys for Hangar 1, right?" And we went. There was a group of 10 to 15 of us that went. We walked into one of the doors in the front of the building that led into the school portion of the building. We walk in and we make our way to the actual hangar portion of the structure. When you walk in there, there's a mock-up of a flight deck on an aircraft carrier that we used for ceremonies, retirements, trainings, and things like that. Mostly ceremonial. I digress. So we walk into the main hangar portion of the building and start to walk around on the flight deck and look around. Look at the rafters, catwalks, and all the office windows that haven't been used in years. Walking into the building for the first time and looking around, trying to take everything in. The overwhelming magnitude of the size of the building was incredible. After standing in awe for a while, we went upstairs into the offices. There was a different electricity in the air. It was chilling and put you on edge. You felt that there was someone or something watching you. It sent shivers down your spine. All right, so we explored and we ran from some things that probably weren't there, and we scared each other. It was more fun than anything, but it was way creepy. So while on duty, I called up one of my cop friends on the base to see what I was up to. He was driving around on patrol and came by the shop to BS a little bit. We got to talking, and he told me he had to patrol in Hangar 1 and asked if I wanted to come along. But of course, I do. It was 2 a.m. and the airfield had just closed for the night, so I had nothing to do or anywhere to be for the next 12 hours. So I hop into the police car with him, and we go. He had a key to open one of the bay doors, so we could drive in. Now, at that time, there was a lot of cargo boxes in the hangar holding supplies on the side of the hangar we were on, and they were covered in cargo nets and things like that. So that added to it looking creepy. We stood around for a while looking at everything we could see, but with it being pitch black in there, we couldn't see much. After about 15 or 20 minutes of squinting and training to see details of the catwalks and the office windows, so he makes a phone call, and I walked out to have a cigarette. He came out to join me and asked me for a smoke. So we're sitting there talking, and another cop car pulled up. Well, I almost pooped myself, then thought, wait, my buddy is a cop too. My buddy went over to the car window and grabbed something and came back. He got some night vision goggles from the dude. So we go in and we're taking turns looking around, waiting for my turn. I was looking at something on the catwalk that I didn't remember being there, but my eyes aren't the best. So I tried to focus as well as I could and waited for the goggles. When my turn came up, I grabbed them from him and immediately went to that spot, and silhouetted against the window, I found it, the shape of a head and shoulders. It could be anything, so I just watched, and then it moved. The shoulders turned, and an arm raised and rested on the rail. If the figure was walking along the catwalk to the stairs to go up further, and then it just disappeared. Now, my friend and I did this several times, and every time there was something off that happened. Nothing ever happened to us, but it seemed like it was just old sailors that were stuck in one place doing the same thing over and over again. Towards the end of my tenure there, when I walked into that building, I got this feeling of sorrow, but I spent more time in that building than most on the command between my late night shenanigans, ceremonies, and teaching sea cadets in there. Time just added up, and I felt a connection to the spirits in there, and I felt their sorrow. Now, I'm stationed in the Naval Academy as a military instructor, and we just checked on board. I was walking around with a coworker going to places I needed to get fully checked in on my first day. We were in a tunnel behind the galley that connects some of the buildings. There were midshipmen walking around talking about graduating and finals. They all had to do, and military scattered about. And I had a feeling of something behind me. So I turned around and looked down the long tunnel to see nothing but the walls and people. But being an avid listener to the show and an avid watcher of shows like Ghost Adventures, and having done some research into the investigating aspect of the paranormal, I reached my hand out to feel for a cold spot. It was there, as cold as ice. I quickly noped right out of there, turned around, and kept walking with my coworker. That was literally day one of being here. I look forward to doing some investigating here if allowed to do so. But, and if I ever begin to my coworker, I'm lost here. I quickly noped out, I turned around and kept walking with my coworker. That was literally the day one. I look forward to doing some investigating here. If I'm allowed to do so, and if I ever begin to, wow, I know this, it's just one giant paragraph again. It's hard for my eyes to adjust sometimes, folks. Well, thank you for reading this. I know it's not as detailed as others, and I wish there were more stories that I could share, but some things that I am privy to, I cannot talk about. Anyway, love the show, and sucks that Podcast One couldn't find a sixth slot for true crime, but I will be subscribing for it shortly. Have a great day, and I hope this finds you well. Very respectfully, the sailor up on the hill, a.k.a. Pugsley, Tim.
Well, thank you, Pugsley.
Thank you, Pugsley. We appreciate the story. Hi again. Wanted to share this story. My daughter purchased her first home in 2008 at age 25. It was an older home put on the market due to the owner passing away in the home. She was elderly and had actually built the home back in 1950. She had raised 2 sons there. The rumor was she had always wanted a daughter. Now, my daughter and Irene have shared their home together ever since. She has always acted as a sort of guardian angel, banging pipes when plumbing needed repair, etc. Well, one Christmas, my daughter was preparing funnel cakes at the stove. This was the original stove that Irene had also used. Before I go on, it's important to mention that my daughter does not cook or clean unless absolutely necessary. The funnel cakes were from a mix. All of a sudden, some mix fell on the burner, causing a small fire, which created a huge mess that had to be cleaned up right away. This required the burners to be taken out and the area around them cleaned. As my daughter reached under the burner with a wet cloth, she felt a lump far within. She pulled out a small bundle of cloth. Inside were a pair of antique diamond earrings.
Whoa.
Oh, I need ghosts like this in my life.
Right?
We believe Irene had hidden them there when she was alive and felt she had to create an incident so that my daughter would have to deep clean the stove and find the earrings. Irene finally has a daughter and has always shown her approval of my daughter taking care of the house. These earrings were a gift to show her appreciation. Paranormal can be a positive experience. Thank you for your time. That comes from Michelle Kaufman. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, now I'm going to have to clean my oven in hopes that a ghost has left me a package.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave. Sorry, that's as far as it goes here.
Yeah, hi, whoever.
Yeah. I work as a nurse's aide in a nursing home. One thing I've encountered is that when people close to death, several have told me that several of their family members that have passed on are in the room with them. Sometimes some have said there are children in the room with them as well. I also feel that some stuck around as well and haunt the rooms. Here are examples of this. Call lights going on and off, and when the room is empty, hearing screams at odd times. And lastly, one of my coworkers thought that she saw a resident standing in the hall that passed away a few days earlier. She just caught them in the corner of her eye. Thanks. That comes from Kurt in Regina, Saskatchewan. Sorry, Tim. Not part of that.
It's all right. I won't say hi to Kurt either.
Yeah.
No. How does he like that?
Wow.
Yeah.
You're so hurtful. Wow. Hi there, Dave and Tim. I was listening to your show about the Mothman, and it so brought back many memories. You see, I lived in Ohio at the time the Silver Bridge fell that linked Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Galapagos, Ohio. Galapagos, Ohio. I lived outside of the town of Racine, Ohio, which is about 25 miles away from where the bridge fell. I was just 10 years old at the time, and everyone in many counties, from both Ohio and West Virginia were in shock. It was a very cold night in December, and many on the bridge were not only people coming home from work, but those that had been out Christmas shopping as well. The Ohio River was so cold, and it may have had ice on it, too, not to mention snow on the ground. It seemed like that in the 1960s and 70s, when we would get the winter snow, it wasn't just a little bit like they get now, but a foot or more. Yeah, I know. You guys are much more, you get much more in Minnesota. Anyway, I remember the following day that the adults were talking about seeing a big winged creature, not knowing what it was or what to think of it. I know some had said something about a bird-like creature and maybe had mistaken. Ooh, you okay over there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Story choking you up?
Yeah.
Good grief.
Mothman bringing down a bridge always makes me,
I guess so,
misty.
I don't blame you. I know many had said something about a bird-like creature and maybe had mistaken a sand crane for what they saw, but the creature was much bigger than any sand crane or any of the birds in the area. I also remember hearing about when the divers were brought in to search the icy cold waters of the Ohio for the bodies. Some divers that had gone down saw fish that they described were as big as a VW with eyes as far apart like car headlights. These same divers refused to ever go back down in the water. The fish, I later learned, were catfish. How they got that size, I have no idea. I just wanted to share this story with you. Keep up the wonderful job you guys are doing. And that's from Rebecca in California. Yeah. Catfish can be monsters.
Yeah, they can.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're bottom feeders. They eat quite a bit.
Hi, Dave. A couple of questions. Not long ago, my niece passed away, and the day of her funeral, me and my wife stayed the night at my sister's house in her old bedroom where the kids were sleeping. Well, around 3 a.m., we heard a tapping noise on the carpet. I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was a mouse under my sister's house or something, but it wasn't. So I looked up, and by my head, there was where the TV was sitting, we kept hearing the tapping noise on the carpet and the cord to the TV. Every time we looked up to the cord, the TV was to the cord. It was in a different place every time, wondering if maybe that was my niece trying to get our attention. We know she wasn't trying to scare me. The day of the funeral at nighttime, I saw her outlining on the side by the closet door in the room where she used to sleep. I'm just wondering if she wanted to try to get our attention or what. That's what it seems like. she was letting you know she was around, and obviously wasn't there to terrify you.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's a pretty good clue. She was just there to check in on you and let you know she was all right. All right, let's see here. We got an interesting story from Jeffrey. He says here, "Hi, my name is Jeffrey Lee, and as I sit here, I am not sure why I'm writing this to you, detailing a very odd event from my past. After listening to the Beyond the Darkness Black Eyed Kids episode, a sudden sharp feeling of cold flooded my body, sending goosebumps across my skin. I have a story of when I was 15, or should I say, my brother has a story. One bright summer morning during the beginning summer vacation, my brother Quentin and I were hanging out in the front yard. I noticed a rather red, large goose egg on his forehead and asked him what had happened to cause such a lump. His expression dropped, and I swear he became pale. Very funny, he replied. The confused look upon my face prompted him to continue. You don't remember? He continued. I shook my head as if to say I had no idea what he was talking about. But this is where the story begins. Now, I will stop here as to, again, stress that this is his story. I have no recollection of the story below, but I do have it under oath several times this incident has indeed happened, and that all of the following accounts are true. Now, I wish I could tell you that this all took place during a fierce summer storm, or that it landed on a full moon, but it's not the case. It was by all means a normal summer night in the quiet city of Vernon, British Columbia. Now, on this night, my brother, who is 5 years older, returned home from work to find that the house was dark. Our parents were not home, and I was not in the living room playing Nintendo as I usually was. My room was located down the long hall out of a single-story house next to my parents' room. Where my bed was situated, it allowed anyone walking down the hall to see the head of my bed. On his way to our parents' room, he noticed that I was sleeping. Odd for me to be in bed before midnight, seeing I was off for the summer and was without employment. Quinn stood in the doorway calling to me, asking where our parents were. I failed to answer or even acknowledge his existence. He then entered the room, leaving the bedroom light off, as the hallway light was more than sufficient to navigate my messy floor. Upon reaching my bed, he then got on top of me. I was laying flat on my back with my arms to my sides. I find this very odd in itself, as sleeping as I always sleep on my sides. He recalls how hot the room was, but more so how much heat my body was emitting. After listening to the stories you've told regarding black-eyed kids, I asked him if he noticed any peculiar smells. He laughed and said, I always smelt like rotting meat to him. As he straddled me, shaking me by the shoulders, asking over and over, where are Mom and Dad? Where are Mom and Dad? Though I did not reply to his questions, what I did next sent a chill down his spine. Even now, 23 years later, my eyes snapped open, revealing blackness. Pure blackness, as he puts it. There was no white in my eyes at all. He swears, even today, that the hallway light was bright enough to show great details within my room, and my eyes were as black as night. This stunned him, and he sat up straight, almost unable to move from shock and fear. He mustered the courage to ask me again where our parents were. Again, I lay silent. When out of nowhere, and with immense speed, my body sprung up, crashing my forehead into his. He tells me I hit him so hard that if we were in a cartoon, little birds and stars would have been seen spinning around his head. Before grabbing his forehead with both hands to try to ease the pain, he watched me lay back down in the same position I was found and merely shut my eyes. Rolling off me and crashing to the floor, he crawled out of my room. This is now where I begin the story. The next day, as he's telling me this tale, I feel my forehead. There's no pain, no bump, not even a red mark. I brushed his story off for many years, thinking it was just a prank that my brother was trying to pull, but even now, when I bring it up, he becomes very uneasy. It took him well over a month to be normal around me again, and I cannot remember the last time I've seen him in the same room as me when I'm asleep. Thank you for your stories. They make my workday bearable. I look forward to your next episodes about the shadow people, as my wife and I have had several experiences with them in the last 6 years. Take care. And that comes from Jeffrey Lee. That's a good one, Jeffrey.
So Jeffrey was a black-eyed kid?
Momentarily, Tim. Yeah. Funny stuff. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of our world. Remember, tomorrow we're back with more True Crime Tuesday. And Ronald Murphy Jr. joins us on Beyond the Darkness as we talk about vampires and creatures of the night. We'll do that here on the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness.